Hey everyone, welcome back to WC Coins World. It's great to have you here again. Today we're diving into some fantastic wheat pennies. The 1957, 1934, and 1927 1-cent coins. If you're a fan of rare finds or just love collecting, you're in for a treat. So, let's get started and explore these incredible pieces of history. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things coin collecting. Let's jump right in. 1956 wheat penny may seem like just another old penny, but it carries a rich history and numismatic significance that collectors and historians find intriguing, so let's break down every detail of this coin, from its origins, the reason it was made, the production process, the different mint marks and varieties, notable errors, value in today's market, and how you can find these coins. To understand the 1956 wheat penny, we first need to look at the history of the Lincoln cent, which was first introduced in 1909. This coin was a historic release as it marked the first time a U.S. coin featured a real person. Prior to this, coins primarily depicted symbols such as Lady Liberty eagles or shields, but President Theodore Roosevelt pushed for a new coin design that would honor Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth in 1809. The U.S. Mint enlisted sculptor Victor David Brenner to design the coin, and he created a portrait of Lincoln that has remained on the 1-cent coin for over a century. On the reverse of the coin, he designed two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin motto E pluribus unum above. This design was chosen to represent prosperity and agricultural strength. The wheat penny series lasted from 1909 to 1958, when it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. To honor the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, the 1956 wheat penny is one of the last coins to feature the original wheat design, making it a significant year for collectors. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny was struck at two different U.S. mint facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Both mints produced millions of these coins, making them common, but they still hold interest for collectors due to certain varieties, errors, and historical importance. The composition of the 1956 wheat penny consists of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This composition had been in use since the early years of the Lincoln cent, with the exception of 1943, when pennies were made of zinc-coated steel due to copper shortages during World War II. The weight of the coin is 3.11 grams, and it has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. The edge is smooth without any reading. Philadelphia minted pennies from 1956 do not have a mint mark, while the Denver Mint pennies bear a small D mint mark below the date on the obverse. The mintage for the 1956 Philadelphia penny was 420,745,000, and the Denver Mint struck 1,098,201,100, making the total mintage for the year over 1.5 billion coins. This makes the 1956 wheat penny one of the most produced cents of the entire wheat penny series. The obverse, or front of the coin, features a right-facing bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head is the motto, "In God We Trust." To the left is the word liberty, and to the right is the date 1956. If the coin was minted in Denver, you will also see a small D mint mark below the date. The reverse of the coin features the iconic two wheat stalks on the left and right, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. Over time, the dies used to strike these coins would wear out, causing weak details or doubling in some cases, which led to the creation of error coins that are highly sought after by collectors. Section 4. Error varieties and rare minting mistakes. The 1956 wheat penny has several notable error varieties that collectors seek out. Some of the most famous include 1956 D double die obverse. Some 1956 D pennies exhibit noticeable doubling on the obverse, especially in the date and lettering. This happens when the die strikes the planchet twice, slightly off alignment, resulting in a doubling effect. 1956 D repunched mint mark RPM. This error occurs when the D mint mark was punched onto the die more than once in slightly different positions creating a doubling or shadow effect around the mint mark. 3B error A. Common minor error in wheat pennies where A. Small die break appears between the B and E in Liberty, forming what looks like an extra letter. For clipped planchet error. This happens when a portion of the coin is missing due to an irregular cut during the planchet production process. 5 OFF center strike, some 1956. Pennies were struck off-center, meaning the design is misaligned, resulting in a coin with a blank portion and an incomplete image. These errors can significantly increase the value of a coin depending on their rarity and how dramatic the error is. Section 5. Value of the 1956 wheat penny. The value of a 1956 wheat penny depends on its condition errors and whether it has been certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC generally circulated. 1956 pennies are worth 2 to 5 cents, but uncirculated. Examples can range from $1 to $10. High-grade specimens with an MS 65 or higher grade can sell for $30 or more. Rare errors, like double dies or repunched mint marks, can command prices ranging from $50 to several $100s depending on demand and rarity. The 1956 wheat penny may not be the rarest coin, but it holds historical and collectible value. It marks one of the last years of the wheat penny series before the switch to the Lincoln Memorial design, and it serves as an excellent entry point for new collectors if you have any 1956 pennies. Check for errors and high grades because you might have a valuable coin. 1934 Lincoln wheat penny. Historical context. To truly understand the significance of the 1934 wheat penny, we need to go back in time to the early 20th century. The United States was coming out of the Great Depression, which had begun with the stock market crash of 1929. By the early 1930s, unemployment was at an all-time high, banks were failing, and people struggled to make ends meet. The demand for new coinage had dropped drastically during the worst years of the Depression because there was little economic activity, and people simply were not spending money as they had before. In fact, in 1932 and 1933, the U.S. Mint significantly reduced the production of pennies, and no Lincoln wheat pennies were struck at all in 1932, making the 1934 penny part of the resurgence of coinage production when the economy started to stabilize. By 1934, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal policies were beginning to take effect, aiming to stimulate economic growth and restore public confidence in the financial system. With increased government projects and a slow but steady improvement in industrial production, the demand for currency, including pennies, started to rise once again. As a result, the U.S. Mint resumed larger-scale production of the Lincoln wheat penny, which had been in circulation since 1909, when it was first introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. Design of the 1934 Lincoln wheat penny. The design of the 1934 penny follows the classic Lincoln wheat penny design, which was first introduced in 1909 and created by the Lithuanian-American sculptor Victor David Brenner. The obverse or front side of the coin features a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" at the top, Liberty on the left, and the date, 1934, on the right side just below Lincoln's chin. This iconic design was the first time in U.S. history that a real person had been depicted on a circulating coin, breaking the tradition of using allegorical figures like Lady Liberty. On the reverse side or the back of the coin, we see the famous wheat ears design, with 2 stalks of wheat on either side, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America in the center. Above, the Latin phrase e pluribus unum is inscribed, which means out of many, one, and represents the unity of the United States. This design remained in circulation until 1958, when the Lincoln Memorial reverse was introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Mint marks and production. The 1934 wheat penny was produced at 2 U.S. Mint facilities. Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint, produced the majority of 1934 pennies, and these coins do not have a mint mark. Denver Mint, D mint mark, the Denver Mint, also produced a smaller number of 1934 pennies, and these can be identified by the small D mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side of the coin. The San Francisco Mint did not produce any pennies in 1934, which means there are no 1934 S wheat pennies in existence. This makes the 1934 D pennies more sought after by collectors compared to the Philadelphia minted ones. Mintages and rarity. The Philadelphia Mint produced 219,080,000 pennies, making this version relatively common. The Denver Mint produced 28,446,000 pennies, which is significantly lower than the Philadelphia mintage, making it a bit scarcer, but still not considered rare compared to key dates in the Lincoln series. Although these numbers may seem large, many of these coins have since been lost, damaged, or worn down over time, making high-grade specimens much more valuable. Valuation and collectability. The value of a 1934 Lincoln wheat penny depends on its condition, mint mark, and any rare errors. Most circulated 1934 pennies are worth between 5 cents and $2, depending on the grade. However, in higher grades, especially uncirculated, mint state examples, the value can increase significantly. A 1934 no mint mark penny in MS-65 gem uncirculated condition can be worth around $30 to $50. A 1934 D Denver Mint penny in MS-65 condition can fetch $100 or more due to its lower mintage. Proof-like or red RD designated coins with a bright original red luster are the most valuable and can command several $100s at auction. Rare errors and varieties. Some 1934 wheat pennies have errors and die varieties that can increase their value, including double die obverse DDO. Some 1934 pennies show doubling on the date, letters, or Lincoln's profile, which can make them much more valuable. Repunched mint marks, RPM. Some 1934 D pennies have repunched D mint marks, meaning the mint mark was stamped twice, slightly offset. Off-center strikes. If the coin was not properly centered during striking, part of the design may be missing, making it a unique collectible. If you come across any of these varieties, it's worth having them authenticated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC to determine their true market value. Conclusion. The 1934 Lincoln wheat penny is a fascinating coin that represents a critical period in U.S. history. It marked a return to higher mintages following the economic hardships of the early 1930s, and while not considered rare in general, high-grade specimens and rare varieties can be valuable additions to any collection. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, this coin is a great reminder of America's resilience during tough times and the beauty of numismatics. The 1927 wheat penny is part of the famous Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 to celebrate President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. The design of the penny was created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose portrait of Lincoln graced the obverse of the coin. It was a design that would come to be known as iconic, and it has remained one of the most recognized coins in American history. But while the Lincoln design was celebrated for its artistic quality, it was the reverse design of the wheat penny that would eventually make the coin a lasting symbol of American numismatics. The reverse of the coin features two stalks of wheat, standing on either side of the words E pluribus unum and the denomination 1 cent. The wheat design was intended to symbolize the nation's agricultural strength, and the simplicity of the design helped it become one of the most beloved coins ever issued by the U.S. Mint. Now, let's focus specifically on the 1927 wheat penny. By the time the 1927 coin was issued, the Lincoln Cent had already been in circulation for nearly 2 decades, and changes were being made to the mint's operations. One of the most important factors to consider when discussing the 1927 1 cent wheat Penny is the mintage numbers and the role that mint marks played in determining the rarity and value of the coin. The U.S. Mint produces coins at several different locations, and each facility has a unique mint mark that is stamped onto the coin. The mint marks on the 1927 wheat penny are no exception, and they give us insight into the production and distribution of these coins. The three main U.S. mint facilities producing coins in 1927 were located in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Let's start with the Philadelphia Mint, which was the primary producer of the 1927 Lincoln cent. It's important to note that the coins produced in Philadelphia typically do not carry a mint mark, making them easier to identify in comparison to the ones produced at the other facilities. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest number of 1927 pennies, with a total mintage of over 247 million coins. This large mintage made the 1927 Philadelphia wheat penny one of the more common coins in the series, and it has remained readily available to collectors over the years. Moving on to the Denver Mint, which is known for its production of coins in the western part of the United States. The 1927 Denver wheat penny carries a D mint mark on the obverse of the coin. The 1927 D penny had a much smaller mintage compared to the Philadelphia coins, with just over 20 million coins being produced. This lower mintage makes the 1927 D wheat penny more desirable to collectors, especially those seeking a more rare and historically significant coin from this period. Finally, we come to the San Francisco Mint, which produced a smaller number of 1927 pennies as well. The 1927 S penny is marked with the S mint mark, and it had a total mintage of just over 8 million coins. This made the 1927 S penny one of the least common of the 1927 wheat pennies, and its rarity makes it a highly sought-after piece for numismatists. The difference in mintage between the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco coins plays a crucial role in the value of the 1927 wheat penny. Generally, the 1927 Philadelphia coin is the least valuable of the three, while the 1927 D and 1927 S coins are often priced higher due to their lower mintages and relative scarcity in the market. However, it's important to note that coin condition also plays a critical role in determining value, and a well-preserved example of any of these coins can fetch a premium price. Beyond mint marks and mintage numbers, we also have to consider the historical context in which the 1927 wheat penny was produced. The 1920s were a time of significant economic growth in the United States, often referred to as the Roaring Twenties. This was an era of prosperity, industrialization, and cultural change, and the coinage of the time reflected the optimism and ambition of the nation. The 1927 wheat penny was produced just a few years after the end of World War I, a time when the United States was emerging as a global power. The country was enjoying a period of economic expansion, and the mint was working hard to meet the increasing demand for coins. During this time, the production of pennies was particularly important, as the 1-cent piece was widely used in everyday transactions. From buying a loaf of bread to paying for a bus ride, the widespread circulation of the 1927 wheat penny means that millions of these coins passed through the hands of ordinary Americans during a time of great change. One interesting aspect of the 1927 wheat penny is that it was part of a series that continued to evolve throughout the 20th century. The Lincoln Cent series saw several design changes over the years, with new versions being introduced to reflect changes in the country's economy, society, and politics. But the 1927 penny, with its classic wheat reverse and portrait of Lincoln, remains one of the most enduring symbols of American coinage. The 1927 wheat penny also holds significance as a collector's item due to its relatively low cost and wide availability. The coin has long been a favorite among beginners and experienced collectors alike. The fact that the 1927 penny was produced in large quantities means that it can often be found in average circulation grades, such as good or very good. However, well-preserved examples in higher grades, such as extremely fine or MS 65, are much rarer and more valuable. In addition to the general circulation of the 1927 wheat penny, it's important to mention that the coin was also used in various special packaging and sets throughout the years. For example, the 1927 penny was included in several coin sets issued by the U.S. Mint, such as the proof sets of the 1930s. These special sets often contained coins in pristine, proof-like condition, and they provided collectors with an opportunity to obtain higher quality. Examples of the 1927 penny. These proof coins are often much rarer and more valuable than their regular circulation counterparts. As we move through time, the 1927 wheat penny continues to be a popular item for numismatic enthusiasts. Its rich history, combined with the allure of its design and the intrigue surrounding its various mint marks, ensures that it remains a highly collectible coin. Whether you're just starting your collection or are an experienced numismatist, the 1927 wheat penny is a coin that is sure to captivate your interest. Before we wrap up today's video, let's take a moment to reflect on just how much history is embedded in this humble penny. From the hands of everyday people during the Roaring '20s to its place in the world of modern coin collecting, the 1927 wheat penny has seen and experienced much. It has traveled through time, bearing witness to a nation's growth and change, and it continues to fascinate those who appreciate its historical significance. In conclusion, the 1927 1-cent wheat penny is more than just a coin. It's a snapshot of a pivotal time in American history, a testament to the skill and artistry of those who designed and produced it, and a symbol of the country's agricultural strength. Whether you're drawn to it for its historical value, its aesthetic beauty, or its role in the larger context of American numismatics, the 1927 wheat penny remains a beloved piece of the nation's coinage legacy. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 1927 1-cent wheat penny. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to WC Coin World for more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.